My friend, listen carefully, because what I'm about to share could truly be the word your spirit has long awaited. God did not carry you this far to let you down. You might feel weary. You may be standing on the edge of uncertainty, questioning whether you have the strength to go on. You may have wept in silence, asking why life has unfolded this way. You may have wondered whether God still remembers your name, but receive this with all the force of faith within you. If God has led you this far, it's because something greater lies ahead. The same God who carried you through every storm, who sustained you in every valley, and who lifted you when you were too weak to stand, is not about to abandon you now. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are still in the hands of the one who never fails. Every trial you've endured, every tear that has fallen, every night you've spent in quiet, wondering what tomorrow would bring, all of it has been preparing you for something you cannot yet perceive. God never pens a story that ends in defeat for those who trust Him. You may be in the middle of the storm at this moment, but the middle is not the end. God has already scripted your victory. You may be walking through fire, but this fire is purifying you, not consuming you. You may be carrying the weight of fear, but even that fear is being used to fortify your faith. God did not lead you through the wilderness to leave you thirsty. He did not lift you out of the pit to see you fall back in. He did not awaken your spirit to abandon you midway. When God begins a work in your life, He finishes it perfectly, powerfully, and in His own time. There are moments when life feels like a harsh contradiction. You pray and nothing seems to shift. You believe, but doors remain shut. You give your all, and still the results fall short. But what if I told you God is not overlooking you? He is positioning you. What if I told you that what feels like delay is, in fact, divine preparation? Sometimes God must close certain doors because what waits behind them cannot bear the weight of your calling. Sometimes He keeps you in the waiting because He is strengthening what's within you before unveiling what's before you. And sometimes God permits your faith to be tested, not to destroy it, but to deepen it. He does not bring you this far only to watch you crumble. He brings you this far to build something unshakable within you. Think back on your life. Think of every mountain you once thought you'd never climb, every season you believed would break you, every storm you feared would drown you, and yet here you are. That alone is proof God is not finished with you. You've seen far too much of His mercy to doubt His power. Now you've walked through too many valleys to question whether He is able. You've been through enough to know that even when everything seems lost, God still makes a way. If He has carried you this far, do you truly believe He would suddenly let you fall? No, my friend. The God who brought you here is the same God who will lead you beyond this place. He does not change His mind about your destiny because of your difficulty. There are people right now who are ready to give up. They've prayed for years and witnessed no breakthrough. They've tried to do right and still encounter resistance. They've watched others advance while they remain stuck in place. But I need you to hear this with all the strength of conviction I can muster. You are not stuck. You are being formed. You are not behind. You are being forged. You are not forgotten. You are being refined. God is preparing you for the day when everything finally makes sense. He is building within you the strength, the patience, and the wisdom to carry what He is about to release. Sometimes the most difficult seasons of your life are not signs that you've been abandoned. They are signs that you are being trusted. God trusts you enough to lead you through the process because He knows you will emerge stronger than you went in. There will come a time when you look back and realize that the pain you despised was actually the pathway to your purpose. The loss you mourned was the turning point toward your destiny. The season you dreaded was the soil where your faith took root. God wastes nothing. Every setback bears a lesson. Every disappointment bears direction. Every failure carries transformation. And though it may not make sense now, the day will come when you will see it plainly. God did not bring you this far to let you fail. He brought you this far to show you His power in a way you've never experienced before. Sometimes God must let you reach the limit of yourself so you can finally encounter the fullness of Him. When you run out of strength, He becomes your strength. When you exhaust your plans, He becomes your guide. When you run out of options, He becomes your way. You see, it's easy to have faith when everything makes sense. It's simple to trust when the road is smooth. But real faith is formed when the light dims and you still choose to believe that God has not left you. Real faith is not about seeing the path, it's about trusting who walks with you on it. When you cannot see the way, remember this: God never loses sight of you. You may not know what tomorrow holds, but you can rest knowing who holds tomorrow. There are times when God will allow everything you rely on to fall apart, not to punish you, but to teach you that He alone is your source. People may walk away, opportunities may disappear, doors may close, but if you have God, you still have everything you need. Because when He decides to lift you, no person can block it. When He decides to open a door, no one can shut it. When He decides to bless you, no power on earth can stop it. God's plan does not depend on the approval of others. He does not need your circumstances to be perfect to bring His promise to fulfillment. All He needs is your faith, your surrender, your trust that says, even here, even now, I still believe. There's something mighty that happens when you refuse to quit in the middle of the storm. When you stand firm, even when your knees shake. When you keep believing, even when your heart is breaking. When you keep praying, even when heaven seems silent, that's when you prove that your faith is not conditioned. That's when God starts to act in ways you never envisioned. Because faith that endures the flames is faith that bears the aroma of heaven. When everything in you says give up, but you whisper, God, I trust you, that's when heaven draws near. That's when the impossible turns possible. You might not recognize it, but the very battle you're fighting right now is a signal that you are near something greater. The enemy doesn't attack what poses no threat. The struggle you feel isn't evidence of failure, it's evidence of purpose. The pressure you're under isn't a punishment, it's preparation. God is making you resilient for the territory ahead. He's teaching you to rely on His strength and not your own. Because where He's taking you, human effort will not suffice. You'll need divine endurance. That's why the struggle has been so prolonged. That's why the waiting has felt so heavy. God is not trying to break you. He's seeking to build you into someone who can carry what He's about to place in your hands. There will come a moment when all the pieces will at last fit together. The people who doubted you will marvel at how you made it. Those who left you will see that you never needed their approval. And you will stand amazed at what God has done, realizing that each delay was a hidden blessing. Sometimes God keeps you concealed until the appointed time, because early exposure can ruin a promise. He's not withholding your blessing, He's protecting it. He's not denying your request, He's perfecting your heart. He's not ignoring your prayers, He's aligning them with His purpose. When the time is right, no power on earth can keep you from what belongs to you. The same God who planted the dream in your heart will bring it to pass in His perfect season. And when that season arrives, you will understand why you had to walk through what you did. You will understand why certain people could not remain. You will understand why certain doors would not open. You will understand why the path had to bend before it leveled. You will realize that everything that felt like a detour was actually divine direction. God never misjudges your path. He knows exactly what He's doing. Every obstacle, every heartbreak, every unanswered question, It's all part of a larger design. And when it all unfolds, you will see that He never failed you. He was working behind the scenes, even when you could not sense it. Some of you listening today are standing in the middle of a time of uncertainty. You don't know how the bills will be paid. You don't know how the situation will turn around. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. But I want you to lift your eyes beyond your fear and remember this truth. If God has brought you this far, He already has a way prepared. He does not lead you into a place without providing a way through it. What looks impossible to you is already settled in His plan. You need not understand how. It's sufficient to trust that He does. Faith does not require explanation. It rests in assurance. You may be walking through darkness, but you are not walking alone. God walks beside you. His presence surrounds you. His mercy covers you. Even when you cannot sense Him, He remains present, nearer than your next breath. Sometimes His silence isn't absence, it's strategy. Sometimes He pulls back to let your faith step forward. Sometimes He holds back answers so your trust can sink deeper roots. The lack of instant results is not the lack of divine movement. God often moves in the quiet, the hidden, the unseen, forming the outcome before unveiling it to your sight. There is something holy about endurance. Those who refuse to give up even when everything is collapsing are the ones who ultimately witness the splendor of God's steadfastness. The race doesn't belong to the swift nor the fight to the mighty, but to those who press on when everything says stop. Each time you choose faith instead of fear, you step nearer to your destiny. Every time you declare hope when it would be simpler to give in, you invite the power of heaven into your situation. Every time you refuse to quit, you come into alignment with the promise that never fails. God didn't lead you this far to see you go under. He brought you this far to show you that even the waves submit to His will. The world may insist that success comes from power, status, or possessions. But real success comes from remaining faithful when it's difficult. Genuine victory comes from trusting when no visible reason remains. Real greatness comes from believing when others have stopped believing. For the measure of a soul isn't how high it ascends, but how deeply it anchors itself in faith when the winds roar. The person who learns to stand steady on God's promise cannot be moved by the storms of life. You can strip everything away from such a person, but you cannot steal their faith. And that faith will restore what was lost. At this moment, some of you are standing at a crossroads between fear and faith. You can choose to quit, or you can choose to press on. You can choose to believe that God has left you, or you can choose to believe that He is still working. Let me remind you, the decision you make now will shape the remainder of your journey. Do not let temporary pain cause you to forget permanent promises. Do not let today's confusion obscure tomorrow's clarity. Do not allow your emotions to overrule what your faith already knows. That God cannot fail. If He begins something in your life, He will bring it to completion. You may bend, but you will not break. You may trip, but you won't collapse. You may weep, but those tears are watering the seeds of your future harvest. I have watched people rise from ruins because they refuse to let go of belief. I have seen lives turn around when everything looked lost. I have seen doors swing open after years of delay. I have seen hearts mended that were once shattered beyond recognition. And each time the story starts the same way with someone who clung to faith when all logic said release it. That is the kind of faith that moves mountains. That is the kind of faith that attracts miracles. That is the kind of faith that makes heaven move for you. When you stand steadfast in the face of the impossible, you signal to the world that your hope is not founded on circumstance. It is anchored in God. There will be moments when people will not understand your faith. They will question your hope. They will mock your patience. Yet stay the course. You are not living for their applause. You are living for God's purpose. You are not confined by their timetable. You are walking in His appointed timing. The same God who started this journey with you is at your side right now, even when the path feels lonely. And one day, those very people who doubted you will witness what faith can accomplish. They'll see that God never fails those who trust Him. They'll see that those who wait on Him are never disgraced. When you feel weak, remind yourself how far you've already come. You've endured what once seemed unbearable. You've matured through what once felt impossible. You've conquered obstacles that should have broken you. And if God carried you through all that, He isn't about to let you fall now. His hand still rests upon you. His plan is still unfolding. His power remains at work in your life. You are still in the middle of His story, and this chapter is not the end. You may not see it yet, but the victory is already scripted in your favor. There is no failure in God's purpose. There are lessons, there are delays, there are reroutings, but never failure. Even when you make mistakes, God can transform them into miracles. Even when you stumble, He can use that fall to raise you higher. Even when you wander, He knows how to guide you home. You cannot outrun His mercy. You cannot outlast His love. You cannot overturn His plan. What He has destined for you will come to pass in His way and in His time. So hold on a little longer. Pray a little harder. Believe a little deeper, because the story is not over yet. The same God who painted the stars knows your name. The same God who commands the seas directs your destiny. The same God who holds the universe holds your life in His hand. You have not been forgotten. You have not been abandoned. You have not been left behind. God is not finished with you yet. And when it's all said and done, you will look back and declare with gratitude, God did not bring me this far to fail me. My friend, when God brings you this far, He does not change His mind about you midway. He is not a God of unfinished works or forsaken promises. Every step you've taken, every mountain you've climbed, every valley you've crossed has been part of a divine pattern. You are not wandering aimlessly. You are being led by a wisdom greater than your own. The same God who sets the stars in perfect order is the same God who directs your steps even when you can't see where they lead. What you perceive as chaos is often the choreography of destiny. What feels like confusion is the arrangement of a miracle in motion. You may not grasp it now, but one day you'll look back and see that God's hand was steering every twist and turn. There are moments when life feels wildly unpredictable. You do your best, and still things fall apart. You give your all, and the results appear to mock your faith. But I want you to remember something powerful. Faith does not fail because of circumstances. Faith fails when you stop believing that God can work those circumstances for good. When everything within you cries, this shouldn't be happening, faith whispers, God is still in control. He has never lost a battle. He has never erred. He has never forsaken a soul that genuinely trusted Him. You may be standing in the midst of uncertainty, but God is not uncertain. You may not perceive the path, but God sees the destination. Your viewpoint is limited, but His is eternal. He already knows the conclusion, and it culminates in victory. At times, God leads you to the very edge so you can learn to rely wholly on Him. When there's no one left to call, no place left to turn, and no strength left to stand, that's when you discover that He alone is enough. God permits us to reach that place of surrender, not to destroy us, but to reshape us. You see, as long as you can lean on your own plan, you won't fully rely on His. As long as you can fix things yourself, you won't learn the power of His timing. It's when you lose control that you finally find peace in the truth that God has never lost control. He is not asking you to understand everything. He's asking you to trust Him through everything. You don't need to know how He will make a way. You only need to believe that He will. I know what it feels like to pray and hear silence. I know what it's like to ask for direction and see no sign at all. But silence does not equal absence. Delay does not equal denial. God often conceals His greatest work until the moment it's ready to be revealed. Think of the seed buried in the soil. It appears as though nothing is happening. Yet beneath the surface, life is taking shape. That's how God works in your life. Under the soil of waiting, something is growing: your strength, your wisdom, your patience, your endurance. And when the season is right, what was concealed will break through the surface in glory. So do not despise the seasons of silence. Do not curse the waiting. What feels like delay is often God saying, I am preparing something better than you asked for. There is power in patience. We live in a world that hurries everything, but God works through process. He cultivates your faith step by step, moment by moment. Every test carries a purpose. Every setback carries a lesson. Every waiting season carries a reward. The same fire that consumes straw refines gold, and God is refining you. You may feel the heat, but that fire is burning away fear, doubt, and weakness, leaving only strength and faith behind. You are being formed for something greater. The longer the process, the greater the purpose. And if you hold on, if you keep believing, you will see that what looked like delay was actually divine preparation. There are days when you'll want to quit, when everything within you says it's too hard. I can't do this anymore. But that is the moment you must remember how far you've already come. You've faced worse and come through. You've walked through storms that others could not survive. You've confronted pain that should have broken you. Yet here you stand. Why? Because God carried you. His strength has been your anchor even when you did not realize it. The fact that you're still standing is proof that His hand has never left you. Do not let short-term pain make you forget timeless truth. You were not led this far to be defeated. Often the things that appear to go wrong are actually going right in ways you cannot yet perceive. The job you lost may be God's way of rerouting you toward a greater opportunity. The relationship that ended may have been God's way of shielding you from what would have destroyed you. That disappointment may be the doorway that leads to your destiny. God doesn't close doors to harm you. He closes them to guide you. He sees what you cannot see. And when one door shuts, another is already being prepared to open. You might be in the hallway right now, but that corridor is holy ground because it's where your faith grows. It's where you learn to trust God, not because of what He gives, but because of who He is. You must learn to speak faith, even when you feel fear. Words carry power when you declare, I trust God. Even when your world trembles, heaven takes notice. When you say, I believe there is a way, even when you cannot see it, you align yourself with divine power. Faith isn't about denying the storm, it's about believing there is peace in the center of it. You may not be able to control what happens around you, but you can govern what you believe within you. And belief is what changes everything. When you choose to believe, despite the evidence, you invite miracles into motion. Do not let comparison steal your confidence. You may look around and see others advancing faster, accomplishing more, or living easier lives, but remember this, God's timing is not measured by human clocks. What's meant for you will never pass you by. Your journey is not behind, it's customized. You are not late, you are being perfected. Everyone has their own process. God is writing your story at a pace that matches your strength, your faith, and your purpose. You don't need to hurry what is divine. When it's your time, the right opportunities will pursue you. What's meant for you will find you when you are ready to carry it. Sometimes God hides you for a reason. There's a sacredness in being unseen. The seasons when you feel invisible are often the seasons when God is equipping you. He's preparing your heart, strengthening your mind, and maturing your faith. It's easy to crave recognition, but hidden seasons are holy seasons. That's when your roots grow deep, so that when your time of revealing comes, you can stand tall and not be moved. God is not punishing you by keeping you hidden. He's protecting you from premature exposure. He knows the weight of what He's preparing you for, and He won't reveal it until you're strong enough to carry it, and when the time comes, it will arrive suddenly. That's the beauty of God's timing.